Okay, we're live. So for those of you joining live, super excited that you're here. Had a little bit of a technical difficulty, but I'm started. So we're going to go ahead and get this party started. So basically what we're going to be talking about is how to build a client acquisition system that will allow you to get clients somewhat on autopilot, but also basically able to help you attract more high quality clients, fill up your calendar, and get more clients that you win over. And so there's a variety of ways that we can do this. And so that's what we're going to be talking about in today's live stream. So let me go ahead and get into this here in just a second. But hopefully my microphone is picking up okay. Looks like I am getting sound. So hopefully everybody hears me okay. So a little bit of a technical difficulties here, maybe somewhat user error, but what we are going to talk about is things that I am able to help you with, and that is client acquisition. So we're going to talk about $1 million funnel and how you can apply that to your business. So I'm just pulling up my slides here real quick. And with that, let me go ahead and all right, here we go. Yeah, swap that around. Actually, I'll move this over to here and we will go. All right, so in this presentation here, we're going to be talking about how agencies, service providers, and other expertise-based businesses, but there's really more agencies here, can attract more high-quality leads and win more deals and customers with a client acquisition system. And so this system we're going to be talking about here today. So the gist of it is right now, you might resonate with this. Everyone's chasing after, referrals. Everybody's trying to do content marketing. You see a lot of people talk about, posting on LinkedIn and things like that. Maybe you're running paid ads. Maybe you're doing some cold outreach, and all of these tactics are totally fine. But the challenge is they aren't always as consistent as you would like. And how do you squeeze out all the juice from them? And then, of course, right now, all the rage is all the AI tools. So you hear about like, oh, there's this tool you could use and that tool you can use. But the challenge is with some of these tools, like you still kind of got to know what to do, or they have kind of we'll call it a funhouse effect, where really all they're doing is giving you back an element of what you're putting in. So if you don't have the right inputs going into the AI, what you're going to get back is probably not what you're hoping for it to be. So, all right, so let's get into this a little bit more. And does any of this sound familiar? If you're doing these tactics that I had mentioned there before, that you're not getting enough high quality leads, even though maybe you're doing lots of activity, but are you getting the leads you want? And maybe the referrals that you are getting, they're unpredictable. Maybe 1 month you're getting tons of referrals just out of nowhere. It seems like everybody loves you and they're sending you all their best friends. But then all of a sudden you're like, but no one's sending me anything now. Or, the lead from that particular referral have dried up. Maybe everybody they know they've already referred over. So at a certain point, you run out of leads with referrals just because they're not consistent. And then paid ads, they're not getting cheaper. They're becoming more expensive. And providing value can feel like you're running on a constant hamster wheel. And, you're constantly putting out, content on LinkedIn or YouTube or Instagram or wherever your audiences, your prospects are hanging out. You think you're doing the right thing and getting out there, but sometimes it's hard to actually get them to follow through. And oftentimes AI can just seem more like a toy or a shiny object. So again, as I was mentioning before, it's really just going to give you back what you put into it. So if you don't have the right inputs going into it, it might give you some good ideas, but sometimes it's going to steer you the wrong direction. It hallucinates. So really what it comes down to is you got to have a system that you can depend on. And all these tactics here are great as long as you have the right system behind them. So maybe what worked a couple of years ago is working less today. So I hear that a lot from people. They're trying all these different things. And so, I could do this, I could do that, and nothing is really working the way they would hoped. And also right now we're in the middle of what we would call a trust recession. You may have heard that term before. It's been used in, media articles. I've heard people talking about it. It's just nobody trusts anybody, it seems like. So how do you break through these barriers to trust? Gone are the days where like, oh yeah, I got an email from a Nigerian prince, and people are believed it to be true. Or could it be true that Bill Gates actually emailed me about his new email software? So those days of, people just kind of trust everything put in front of them are over. People question everything. So it's hard to break through that trust if you don't have the right system. And really all your prospects are just drowning in messaging, because with AI, people are able to put out more content, put out more ads, put out more messages. And so there's just more. And oftentimes you might get the feeling that you should just do more, just spend more, do more content, more this, and it never ends. So how do you break through that noise? So you might have done a whole bunch of work and the referrals aren't scalable. The ads are getting more expensive. The content takes too long to get any traction on, if you even get traction. And outreach, if you're doing outreach, might feel like a complete grind just because everything is harder than it used to be, especially if you're going after cold audiences. Cold audiences aren't necessarily a bad thing, but how do you warm up audiences the right way? So with all of those tactics we're talking about, you might be left with taking on wrong high churn clients. So clients that come on, maybe they seem like they'd be a good fit, but they're just not. They tend to churn higher. And so you're taking on these new clients who maybe aren't the right fit for your agency because you just kind of needed to get people in the door. Maybe you're not seeing the growth you want. And oftentimes too, the impact of a lot of these challenges I'm mentioning is you might get stuck as the bottleneck. I was talking to somebody fairly recently who was showing me his org chart, and it was like he was half of it. Well, that's not sustainable. And so if you don't have the right revenue coming in, if your revenue is plateaued, it's hard to hire people to take over the spots to alleviate you so that you can actually focus on the areas you want to focus in your business. And then what ends up happening too is people like start looking for what is the next shiny object. Oh, there's this, I could do this. And so all that gets to be, overwhelming. And so that's why I think it's important to build a client acquisition system, something that can warm up old leads. So it's a warming up mechanism. Oops. It builds trust and authority. So you're getting more people to know, like, and trust you, so you can break through some of those trust barriers, like I was saying, and ultimately makes you the obvious choice. Because for some people, they're we'll call the right now deals. So you can win those deals, but then you can also win the not yets. Because in all marketing, there's people that are red hot, that they're they're looking for you, they find you. As long as you're able to have the right follow-up systems with them, you might win them fairly quickly because they just have an urgent need. But oftentimes those type of offers really are more like if you're a plumber, or, like my ACs went out a couple times over the summer, so we had to have someone come out. Like, you want somebody to come out like pretty quickly, not, oh, I need to think about it. Most of marketing agency work is a lot of, might feel like, it's urgent. Maybe it's urgent in the moment because they saw their sales are going down, or they got news they weren't happy with, but then they tend to hold on to things if, they're in that kind of not yet category, where they want to make a decision. They want to believe that you're the right person, but they just need a little bit more trust built up. So in order to fix this, I have what I call the GROW marketing system. And GROW is an acronym that stands for generate leads. And we want to not just generate any kind of leads. We're not talking about just scraping random leads. We're talking about figuring out who are high quality leads, the people who are like the best clients we've ever had, and how do we get more people like them. And then how do we relate and reconnect with those leads? And so the way I say relate and reconnect is because there's a little bit of both. Of we want to relate with people as they're coming in, we want to warm them up, build that know, like, and trust. But one simple thing you could do if you want to be known in your space and you want to become a top authority is to actually get a following of people and stay in front of them. There's way too many agency owners I talk to who, they get a lead, like they buy or they don't, and then they move on. So it's like if they haven't bought in 30 days or 60 days or whatever their criteria is, they've forgotten. There is a wealth of potential people that you could sell to that are in some of those older leads that you could go back to, especially if they've kind of kept you on the back burner mentally, but you have to have them have that opportunity to reconnect with you. And oftentimes you can get them to re-engage fairly easily. And you want to offer them reasons to engage just in general. And that could be things like events, webinars, emails, newsletters, things that are relatively basic, the things that people say, oh yeah, I should be doing those things, but oftentimes most people actually aren't. And if you do those, you'll set yourself apart especially if you do them the right way. And then from there, you can win clients and customers. And so, in an agency setting, most of the time we're really more thinking clients, like MRR. And so in case you're wondering, does this replace what I'm already doing? I have things that are working. Well, if you have a fire burning, you don't want to necessarily put it out to try something different. And the nice thing we're doing here is everything I'm going to talk about is stuff that's basically taking like fuel and putting it onto an existing fire. So when you make that fire burn hotter and brighter, it's going to help you in the long run. This analogy is to get you more revenue, more clients, more leads, and convert more of them. So also this is going to help you stand out in a sea of noise. If everyone's just like, watch, look, it's like, and you probably see it, like you're not just competing with your competition, you're competing with, random people in shorts who are, not shorts, like maybe they are wearing shorts, but YouTube shorts or TikToks or reels or whatever, who are dancing or doing skits or whatever. So you got to have the right message to get in front of them in a way that they're going to resonate with. And so why even listen to me? And that's a good question. So in case you're wondering, why should I listen to this person, Kevin? So I've been in the sales, marketing, lead generation business in some way, shape, or form for about 20 years. I also have been helping agency owners a lot over the last several years. And I've been involved in marketing for a multiple 8-figure agency, which I'm no longer with. But the story of that is, I was working on a lot of these tactics that, we're going to talk about here in this class. And about 3.5 years ago, I was approached by a large 8-figure agency in the Amazon space because I was doing virtual events and email marketing and a lot of the things we're talking about. And the owner of that agency acquired that business. And that gave me the opportunity to work inside his business, the multiple 8-figure agency, to see what works and what doesn't. And I got to test out a lot of different things. And one of the funnels that I was most excited about helped me with my understanding of what works. And we're going to call it a nurturing funnel. Could I come up with something sexier than that? Yeah, probably. But I want to say that it's basically one of those things where how do you get people to come in? How do you warm them up? And how do you turn them into clients? And so basically the results of this were about $110,000 in MRR, which on an annualized basis, which their average client stayed with them for about 1.5 years. So on an annual basis, that's about $1.3 million annually. And that was over 600 meetings that were booked. Now, I did put a little asterisk because actually both for the bookings number and for the revenue number, that's just what we can track. Because when you nurture people the right way and you warm them up and you have a system that's going to turn them into clients, get them onto your calendar, that's going to get them bought into you, that's going to see you as the most obvious choice, not everybody's going to click on the links you want them to. Not everybody's going to go to the special tracking calendar. People will go their own route and they will go out of their way to find you because they're so bought in. So that's the beauty of what we're talking about here, is that it's going to create not just for the system itself, people going through the system, they're kind of going around the system and creating their own way to get in. It's almost like they're coming to you saying, hey, let me give you my money, because they're so bought into what you're doing. So here's what a good client acquisition system does. It attracts high quality leads, converts the ready to buy, wakes up previously warm leads, and then sells the not yet crowd on you. And so there's always going to be a portion of your audience who's, we'll call them not yet. And some of them, they may never, and that's okay. And some of them, oftentimes most of the market gives up on. Like maybe they decided they wanted to go, shopping for an agency, and they maybe looked at you and 4 others, and then they picked one. Maybe they like them, maybe they didn't. Maybe they're just kind of like, maybe it's not painful enough to leave that agency. But let's say of the other 3, it's like, let's say, they shopped around to 4 agencies. You were one of them. They went to the one. They're not totally sold if they should stay there or not. The other 2 competitors, let's say, just completely fell off the map. They haven't heard from since their sales calls. And then there's you, who stays with them at a good repetition, not in their face, not, hey, did you make a decision? Make a decision. Hey, come back to us. But just checks in on them periodically, sends them valuable content through email and things of that nature. You suddenly are now the one that either when they go to leave that agency, or maybe you even sell them on the idea on their own, they just wake up and say, hey, I want to work with these guys. I want to at least hear what they have to say. And so that's the beauty of what a good system does. So doesn't matter where you're at. I think it's important you start with this one thing. And so many of you probably know who this gentleman here is, Jocko Willenick. So Jocko is, if you're not familiar, he is a former Navy SEAL commander. So he was like, an officer in the Navy. He ran Navy SEALs in combat. And he recently, I was listening to something he put on, and this really resonated. And I'm sure this probably will resonate with many people listening. And that is, it doesn't matter, whether you're in combat, whether you just have a bad situation, or just, you're just want to find a better way. Oftentimes we get overwhelmed with all the different things we could do. Do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. And that probably is something that we can resonate with in business. You don't have to be in combat, but in business it can be kind of like combat, although I've never been in combat. But I hear it's, a lot of uncertainty. In business, there's a lot of uncertainty. And so you think of like, oh, I should be doing this and doing this and doing this. Now, thankfully, no one's shooting at you, but you might be saying to yourself, what is that next right move? And so just ask yourself, what is one thing I can do right now to improve my situation? And so if you were to ask me that, I would say, find the low-hanging fruit. There are people you have already engaged with who, if given the chance, will schedule times on your calendar, will raise their hand and say, I'm interested, but they're just not going out of their way to do it. And that's not because they don't know, like, and trust you. It's just they need just a nice little friendly nudge. So it's one thing you can do today to give those people a nudge. And so just send this email in the subject line. You're still interested in whatever the topic or the outcome is. Now, try to make it pretty basic. Like, for example, here I've got, are you still interested in scaling on Amazon? This is just a portion of the replies we received. Just reach out to people that have engaged with you in the past and say, are you still interested in whatever? And the body of your email is basically just that. Hey, first name, are you still interested in scaling on Amazon? Are you still interested in making paid ads work? Are you still interested in growing your plumbing business? Whatever it is your niche resonates with, It doesn't have to be, this outlandish claim. You don't have to say you want to double your revenue in 30 days. Like, make this simple. Just like the type of thing, like, are you still into the general idea? Are you still in this business? There's really the gist of it. And say, just reply and let me know. You'll be amazed at the replies you get from people who just hadn't thought of it. Now, this is not a tactic I thought of on my own. I have to give Alex Hormozy credit for this one, but I have found it works, and you can do it in a lot of different settings. But one of the ones you can do right now is just send this to people who have engaged with you in the past and just watch the replies come in. And you don't need a huge list for this. In fact, sometimes if you have a small list, but they're people you've talked to, maybe they've engaged with your website, maybe they scheduled a call with you, maybe you send them a proposal. It doesn't have to be 20,000 people you're sending this to. It could be 40, 50, 100. Like, who have you talked to in the last 2 years? Send this to all of them that you haven't spoken with or heard from in 60 days. You will be amazed at what comes back. Then you want to attract more leads, right? And you want to give people a reason to engage with you. And one of the things I like doing is webinars. Now, this is, kind of like a webinar. It's a live stream on YouTube and LinkedIn. But for a lot of people, they might be saying to themselves, well, but like, it's a lot of work. You got to put together a slide deck. Find 2 or 3 other people who also have your audience. Who has your audience? And it might be people who are your competitors. Hey, you want your competitors to share their leads with you? This is one tactic to do it. Or people who are, let's say, adjacent to you. And so maybe, you do, let's say, you do pay-per-click advertising for home-based businesses, or home service businesses, I should say. And maybe you have someone who does SEO for them, someone else who does, some other service for them. Who has your core audience you want to get in front of, your prospects, I should say. Invite them on to just do a panel interview, a panel discussion on whatever the topic is that's sexy for your clientele. So this example here, this woman, Elizabeth, she's a agency owner in the Amazon space, brought on a bunch of other people in the Amazon space to talk about AI, because that's the hot topic. And if you're not sure, AI is probably a hot topic in your niche too. Some niches more than others, but she got 222 people to sign up. Now, some of those are people who are already on her list, which is fine. And so that engaged those people who are already on her list. And then she was able to get the other people who came on this panel to discuss the topic of AI, and they shared it to their lists. And so she got high value prospects out of that. And so you get warm leads that if you went to your competition or other people who have lists and you say, hey, will you promote me? They're probably going to say no. But if you say, hey, you want to come on this thing we're putting together, this live event, and just bring on a couple of people, you build your authority, I'll share the leads with you, everybody wins. Oftentimes they'll say yes and they'll promote it. And so this is a good way to help you build your leads, but also engage those people who are already on your list. Then, just in general, fortune is in the follow-up. So there's a couple different ways to do follow-up. And so one, and I'm talking about warm audiences here. So people that have opted in, or people that have already engaged with you. And so one is have automation sequences. And that could be like a welcome sequence. People maybe started filling out your calendar, but didn't. Figure out some trigger, some automation that when they do this, you send out a series of emails. That helps you initiate trust. And that's going to help you close the ready to go. And so when I say those people that are ready to go, like they're ready to buy now, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you send one follow-up email and they're going to buy instantly. Maybe they need to see some case studies. Maybe they need to see a little bit more about your agency. Maybe they need to learn a little bit more about your philosophy. So the people that are ready to go now, as we all know, that might be, hey, I want to get on a call instantly. Give them that opportunity. Maybe they need just a little bit more warming up, but they'll end up buying from you over 30 to 60 days. So this philosophy of having automation sequences, the right welcome sequences and the right things like that, which you might be saying, well, I've heard this all before. I guarantee you most of your competition is not doing it. If you sign up for their newsletters, you're probably not going to get all that much. And so you'd be amazed how you can separate yourself from a lot of your competition, especially if you do it the right way. Then also send out, we'll call them broadcast email campaigns or newsletters. And I know some people like to send them out like daily or twice a day. I've even seen some people do. Just send out something once a week and you will set yourself up from your competition. And maybe you have a promotion going on, you send it out more rapidly than that. But at least start off with, who are those top of mind people? This helps you stay top of mind with your audience. It's going to help you develop more trust and authority because they just get more comfortable. We're more comfortable with the people we know. So if they see your name, even if they don't even open, or if they open but don't read your email, they at least are, getting accustomed to receiving messages from you over time. And then that's going to help you develop your trust and authority with them. So you can send out case studies, you can send out more things about your philosophy, and you can promote your existing content. So that's going to help you, get more eyeballs on, maybe you're trying to get people to watch a LinkedIn video. Maybe you're trying to get people to see something you posted on YouTube. Maybe you're trying to post something on Instagram. You want people to, comment on it. Whatever that is, you can use email as a tool for this, and you don't have to have large audiences. You just need the right people. And so if you have the right people, that's going to be hugely beneficial for you. Now, what about outreach? A lot of times people ask me about cold outreach. Should I do cold outreach? Yes. Now, the mistake I see a lot of people is they just scrape the internet and, they, maybe buy random lead lists that maybe aren't even high quality. So you want to figure out who is it that you're really trying to get in front of, get a targeted list, and make sure they're the right audience. You want to be more laser focused. And sometimes that means spending a little bit extra time to personalize it. And maybe that's a personalized video. Like, ooh, that sounds scary, but that might take a lot of work. It is. You're trying to get in front of people who maybe don't even know you yet. And so you want to have some sort of system to say, hey, here's what's going on in your business. Here's a gap. Here's how I can fix it. It's kind of the general framework. And you want to avoid just spray and pray. And so oftentimes with outreach, like cold outreach, people just start sending emails, and you've probably seen them before. And it's like, dude, who are all these people? And so that makes it harder to stand out in their inbox, and you don't do as well. So, and then when you have people that engage with your cold outreach, now, depending on where you're located and depending on the laws, so I'm not saying this is 100% compliant everywhere. It's probably a little bit of a gray area, but some cases there may be an ability to move those people from your cold outreach to your warm audiences, like your warm email nurture sequences and your newsletters, because they're at least engaging with your content and they seem like they're pretty relevant. And so that's something to think about. But I would never recommend taking, cold lead lists and just putting them randomly into your warm audiences. Definitely don't do that. But if you do this the right way, you can get in front of the right people and nurture and engage them. And this is something I see a lot of the best agencies do well, but it's not just spray and pray and email every single person out there. All right. So from there, now once you have clients, which I'm sure if you're watching this, you probably have some sort of offer. You want to go back to the people that have already worked with you, and you want to get reviews. Now, some people get nervous about but if I open the door to Trustpilot or Clutch or something, do I have to do it everywhere? No, just pick one to start with and then send people to that. And so, if you do surveys to your existing clients once a quarter, um, invite some of them to go fill out Trustpilot. Now, you got to be a little careful with the terms of service of some of these platforms. Like, you don't want to send an email out and say, if you're happy, click here. If you're not happy, click here. And it's like the happy goes to Trustpilot or Google reviews, and the not happy goes to, your website or something. You don't want to do that. So, but I mean, theoretically, I guess you can invite whoever you want to invite. And if you know who's happy, invite them. And then also get them to do video testimonials. And so it's one thing to have, a third party site like Trustpilot or, other places, and have people fill out, something where they say, oh, this is great. They got me the results I needed. But it's also good to have video testimonials. And in some niches, people might be excited to get on camera and, record a video for you. Other people, they're like, what do I say? Just offer to go on camera, interview them. Hey, what was it like working together? What did you like the best? What could we do differently? And you can edit that and put it, together, a montage, however you'd like. And so sometimes people just need a few prompts. And so if you give people the right prompts, they'll either record it on their own or maybe they record it with you. And one of the things to keep in mind is that, generally speaking, unhappy people tell everyone. And so if things aren't resolved in your agency, they're going to go out and they're going to probably leave a negative review. Haters are going to hate, as they say. But the happy people, they just move on with their lives. But generally speaking, your happiest customers and clients, they will leave reviews. They will record a testimonial because they like you and they like your team. But oftentimes they need to be asked. So it's important to have the right systems to ask them periodically to leave you a review, to record a testimonial, so that way you have more third-party proof, which helps you multiply your authority. So when you're going to sell to people, you can say, hey, here's what I've done. So these are all things you could do. So what this all does is helps you, that we just talked about here, attracts high quality leads, because we have our targeting down. We're not talking about just posting all over on content. We can do collaborative partnerships with other people to borrow their audiences. We can convert the people ready to buy and, win those clients right away, but also wake up some of our previously warm leads, people that have kind of gone cold. What can we do to wake them up? And some of those are actually some low-hanging fruit. And then sell the not yet crowd on you. So some of those people, maybe they'll become your customer, maybe they won't, but at least give them more of an opportunity to become your client. And that's what this system is all about. So again, this is all developed on my understanding of what works, what I have seen work. And so, you do this client acquisition system. This is based on multiple things I did at the agency I was mentioning earlier, but together, we were able to put together $110,000 in MRR that we could track. That's 1.3 million annual, and that's over 600 meetings booked through using this system. And the reality is, the numbers are bigger, but that's just what I can track. And so we would have people, on our team go back and check, very specific links and landing pages and specific calendars, to see where people are coming from, but not everybody goes the path you want them to. So that number could be at least double that, if not more. And that's just through this nurture follow-up sequence. And again, it doesn't have to replace anything else you're doing. It's a bolt-on that just throws more fuel on the fire to what you're already doing. So the nice thing is this adds a moat around your business because a lot of people aren't doing this. But the question is, why doesn't everyone do the things that I mentioned? Well, for one, if you're familiar with who Jim Rohn is, he has the quote, the things that will make you successful are easy to do, but they're also easy not to do. And so a lot of times everyone's just so caught up in like, what do they have to do? It can be overwhelming. Sounds good. Should I do this? Should I do that? This person said do this. Shiny object. Maybe I'll just run some paid ads. Maybe I'll just post more on LinkedIn. Okay, sure, great. But if you have the right system, everything else you do works better. And so one of the things, again, that people need, I have found oftentimes they need help with, and this is where people have started coming to me more and more, is to get guidance on how to grow their business. And so if you need a little bit of guidance to grow your business, I have something that I think could work for you. And so what I'm calling this now is the Agency Client Acquisition Accelerator. So this is a program where we're going to identify the best fit client for you. And that may not be exactly what it is for your competition. So it's understanding your audience, who they are, and where they hang out, and how you get in front of the right people, and how you attract more high quality leads. And I'm not talking about just posting more, but having the right systems for cold, warm, and hot. So you have different people at different temperatures. And how do you move them from cold to warm? How do you move them from warm to hot? How do you convert the hot into paying clients? And that's what we're going to talk about based on everything that I've seen work for agencies, so that you can fill up your calendar, but not just fill up with random leads that you don't want to talk to, but again, people that are your ICP, people that are the best clients that you want to work with, the type of people that want to stay with you for the long term. So that you do have that ability to win clients, because you are going to become more of a obvious choice to them, and not just like another like random company maybe they found on the internet or something, but people who are becoming more and more bought into you over time, because they're now starting to know, like, and trust you. And that helps you with the right system develop that trust and authority. And so together we're going to work on a 90-day action plan so that you can do all these things and, help you achieve these goals. So here's how this program works. The Agency Client Acquisition System Accelerator. It's going to be an 8-week program. It's going to start in early September. So as we record this, that is about, call it 2-ish weeks away. So time is limited if you're thinking about doing this. And it's going to be limited to the number of people that we're going to do this to. So I'm going to keep it a very intimate group, so that way I can spend a lot of time on the people in the group. The format is going to be a weekly group session over Zoom. And then the approach is going to be, teaching, implementation, feedback, accountability, because we're going to share with everybody, hey, here's what we're working on. This is the homework you're going to have. And we're not talking about like, hey, build out everything all at once. It's going to be stair steps. Here, send out these emails, create these things. We're not just talking about high level. We're going over kind of high level in today's live stream, but we're going to have more of an opportunity over 8 weeks to say, here's specifics. Here's the things you do. Here's what works. And it's based on the things I have seen work. And the nice thing is you'll have that support, because you can bring your campaigns, your messaging, your questions, and the challenges that you have for feedback, not just to me, but to the group, people that are going to be your peers, other agency owners. And so this is something I'm super excited about. This is the first time I've done a program like this. I've done other programs before in the past, but this is the first program I've done on this particular system, this client acquisition system. And so I'm really excited about this. And, the nice thing is you are learning alongside other agency owners who are going through similar growth challenges. So I would say this is probably for agencies doing, depends on your size, under 2 million. And if you're over 2 million and you want to send somebody from your team to go on your behalf, that's fine too. But this is something that I think is beneficial, probably more for those agencies that don't yet have a marketing team and are trying to figure out like, okay, trying all these different tactics. Some kind of work, some don't. There's inconsistency. This one brings me, I was talking to agency owners, like some months I get 20 really warm leads. Other months I get 3. And it's like, how do you bridge that gap? How do you, and then, asking questions like, okay, what do you do with the people who maybe don't become clients right away? Oh, they just kind of give up on them. So there's ways that you can stay on top of people, stay top of mind, that if you do these things, that's going to bring you more clients over time, both quickly with quick wins, but it's also going to help you in the long term too. And so it's going to help you grow your business. And this is what I've seen actually work for agencies. So if this sounds like something you're interested in, you can apply today. Just go to lgnmarketing.com/apply. And you can apply for this particular accelerator program. It's basically just fill out, a couple of, let me unshare my screen. There we go. If I could figure out how to use this thing. So, yeah. So, someone says, only a couple of viewers. That's fine. I'm all about quality more than quantity. And I know more people tend to watch the replay than watch in the live. It's been that every live stream I've ever done over time. And someone says, Khalil here. Hi, Khalil. Running an Amazon creative agency. So yeah, so happy to answer any questions you have. Amazon creative agencies are a good spot to be in. And so in this, we're going to be talking more again. We talked about how you could create a acquisition funnel. So you have questions about the acquisition funnel that I have used. It's a $1.3 million acquisition funnel. We'll go into that. Now, if you want my help and you're interested in being in the accelerator program, let me go ahead and bring this up onto the screen here. Actually, I got to create one here real quick. So we will do lgnmarketing.com/apply. Yeah. So if you're interested, just go to lgnmarketing.com/apply. There's no requirements to apply, but not going to pick everybody. I'm going to keep this to be small, the right people. I already have people that have signed up, so spots are filling up. So if you're interested in being part of this to build the client acquisition funnel that we talked about here today, just go to lgnmarketing.com/apply. There is an investment in this. Now, for many agency owners, what they get from a new client in 1 month would more than pay for this. And so, I'm keeping this affordable, but at the same time too, something that is going to be beneficial. So if you're interested in how you could work with me and this program, I should say, just head on over to lgnmarketing.com/apply. And we're going to work on ways to help you attract more leads, nurture them into paying clients. You're going to figure out how to win back some of your people that maybe engaged with you in the past. So I shared one of the easiest emails to use earlier in this particular live stream. And so if you're interested, just head on over there. And you're going to learn new ways to re-engage with people, because it's not just one email. It's multiple ways you can get in front of them and then also engage with people over time. So we're going to help you get some quick wins. And those, in an ideal world, would more than pay for the program just right there. And then we're going to create acquisition systems that are going to work over time to bring you more leads and to turn them into paying clients. So I'm super excited about that. This is going to start in early September. So if you're interested, basically the way it's going to work is, if you apply and you're accepted, then you'll have the opportunity either to get on a call with me to see if it does make sense to you. We are going to ask for a $100 deposit to hold your spot, and then the remaining balance would be due when it's time to start. So with that, thank you, everybody. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them into the comment section, and I'll be taking a look at the comment section as well. And take care, everybody. Thanks.